Here we are at the top of the hexagram. We are in the sixth line of the 22nd gate, the gate of grace and the gate of openness. And the sixth line is called maturity. The sixth line, of course, is the mutative line. It's our line of transition. It's the mutation that is actually coming for us, the general mutation that will take place in the sixth line. And we know already the nature of six lines, how in their early lives, especially here in this 22-3, that 22-6, they're going to play out the third line, the enchanter. In the 22-3, they'll be cranking people up and then just disappearing. And whilst that's okay for the third line, the sixth line learns to see that that's not very effective for them, that there must be something else to all of that. And so we get to this line of maturity and we get to a lifetime learning that says the alignment with experience of form with substance. This is not just about what most individuals seek, to find a safe enough place within the masses that they're not threatened, not simply so that they can have their opportunity to mutate the substance, not simply just learning how to deal with the other end. And remember, the whole emphasis of this channel is learning how to deal with the other, which the individual is just simply not very good at, not designed to be good at, because they're not designed to be influenced by the other. So what happens here throughout the hexagram is that there is a tendency to overcompensate for the other. And of course, this can end up being just simply a way to find how can I hide from the other so that they won't know that I'm actually different. The exaltation says natural and evident leadership and authority, the possibility that experience in social interaction will result in leadership capacity. It is through this sixth line that we will live out a new social mutation. Spirit awareness is something that will be the most social thing. We can't even imagine how social it's going to be. It's an entirely new social horizon that will come into view for us. The leadership for that lies within the 22 because it is about attentiveness, paying attention to the other in a very deep way, paying attention to the spirit of the other. Ultimately, this is its possibility, and the leadership comes out of that. Think about the conscious penta. They're going to make that group out, the raves, they're groups of 3 to 5. Their conscious penta is going to be a very deeply attentive unit and social in its way within its rave penta. Who knows what that will actually mean? We'll find out, I guess. Here, this is the maturity that can come from recognizing that it's not simply learning how to deal socially, but that there is then the responsibility of using that to be mutative, to impact, to be the leader, to change the very nature of what we are. The detriment says the alignment tends to express itself in non-conformist modes. The possibility that experience in social interaction will result in a non-conformist expression of openness. The non-conformist expression of openness is a window to the possibilities of the emotional spirit. The 22-6 can be easily depressed by not being able to see the mutation and the nature of that mutation alive. These people know, whether it is through breathing or singing or meditating, they have had a glimpse within them of the capacity to be attentive that they hold. They can be so attentive that they can almost listen to the neutrino stream. Something very different can come out of this line, something very new. The 12-6, other end of the channel, it's called metamorphosis. And only 2 gates in the whole wheel have such a name, with the other one being the 62 in the 5th line. In the stream of emoting here that moves from the 39 to the 12, there is this deep metamorphic process. These people really know the social environment. But again, their concern is far beyond that. Their concern is the establishment of mutation that they would love to see experienced. And that comes about in the movement in the wheel to the 36, which comes next. But it's like, will this mutation bring a crisis? What kind of change will it bring? What will be the progress that comes from that? Tries to see what that is going to be like. Remember, the individual brings the mutation, but only the collective judges it. The individual does not. In this context, it is looking for that experience to see what it will be like. Not an experiment. This is not something that will be logical that is about to happen. Ra said that we should take this as a deeply mystical clue. Spirit awareness is not logical any more than emotions are logical. We can describe it logically through systems like human design, but we are describing the mechanic and not the emotion. The spirit is not something that will be logical. If you finally get to the end of the process as an individual and you realize that your mutation truly is of value, then you can allow yourself to drop the mask and just be the freak. And then you can really move into that power that you hold, but it can be quite a step to get to that point. The individual can get to that point where they drop their need for protection from the collective or from the tribe or even from the nature of mutation. Once they have that capacity to mutate the other as an individual. In our process of going through the wheel, we come to the 36th gate next, the darkening of the light, the gate of crisis, the gate of inexperience, bringing that mutation directly into the human experience and the human experiential way. In order for mutation to become part of the totality, it must become part of the totality's experience. And this movement from the 22 to the 36, they're right beside each other in the solar plex system. They are both emotional gates with manifesting channels. They're very similar to each other. The irony is that what becomes part of the human experience can never become part of it in any way that's really aware. When it jumps to the 36, it just jumps into an experience, and only history will be able to evaluate the ultimate advantage or disadvantage of the mutation. You never see it in the now, ever. Remember, it's the solar plexus. There's no truth in the now. The experience has to go through the entire process and end up in its reflection and its phase of privacy and retreat in the 33 before really it comes out to be judged. The 36-1 that we're going into is called resistance. We're moving to the deep need for an experience, not to have a second-class ticket, to go beyond that, to actually experience something different. And the grounding comes in the 47th gate, in the 6th line, and it's called futility. And perhaps we get a sense of this in the 22-6, which would love to see its mutation come alive, but it might not. And it's individual, so the timing of whether it will or not is not up to it to decide. Perhaps the melancholy that is always a potential here could come because the mutation or the mutative potential feels futile. The moon has been in gate 59 in the channel with the south node in gate 6 since 10 past 8 this morning. Channel of mating. We covered that yesterday. It moves into gate 40 at 19:05, the gate of aloneness, the gate of deliverance. This is one of the love gates. It is a gate that loves to work. It's an ego gate and it has tremendous willpower to bring to what it delivers to the tribe. And we know that the ego, the heart center, it will work and that it demands rest. And this is the natural expression of the heart muscle itself as it pumps blood around our body. So the 40 will work and then it wants to be left alone. The sun transits into gate 36 today. at 23:11. And so we have an extra overview today. There will be the overview of Gate 36, which I will publish around 8 p.m. GMT, and then the first line about an hour or so after that. And then there'll be another moon transit at that point too. And then we'll just have a couple of transits of getting ourselves back into some kind of not so it's not so crazy, the transit report at 9 in the morning when it actually happened at a completely different time. But there's only so much we can do, isn't there, really, with that one? Yeah, so that's the end of gate 22. And yeah, not much else to say about that. This was going to be the end of my transit journey initially, but I have two more gates still to go, the 36 and then the 25. Yeah, so then two more gates, two more transits, and then I'll have a long lie down. I will see you a little bit later on for the 36 and then the first line of the 36. So until then, have a good day, take care, and go gently.